Let's talk about love. This is Jurgen Rasmussen. Welcome to the Provocative Hypnosis vlog. So, I recently had a client who was on the spiritual path who had a lot of judgmental thoughts and felt really bad because she didn't have the experience that she loved everyone equally and that she had preferences and that she liked some people and didn't like other people, and she thought that that was somehow spiritually less evolved. This, by the way, is not the first person I've had as a client on the spiritual path who's raised similar concerns. So, how about it? Is it possible to love everyone? What are the implications of that? Is love truly our nature? If so, what's meant by that? And how can we map that onto all the crazy bad stuff that's happening in the world? Let's start off here. When people in the meditation world, and especially many who have a non-dual orientation, talk about love, they mean something quite different than what a lot of people mean when they talk about love, and what a lot of psychologists might mean when they talk about love. Granted, there's a lot of differences among psychologists and regular people too in terms of what they mean by love. But spiritual teachers like Byron Katie, or Rupert Spira, or Eckhart Tolle, or Sydney Banks, or whatever floats your boat. The people who kind of point in those directions seem to mean something quite profoundly different than what psychologists and therapists and regular folks mean. So let's talk about this from a more non-dual perspective. And from this perspective, it makes sense to say that you can love everyone, but you can like some people way more than you like others. How does that even make sense? Well, from a non-dual perspective, love is just the recognition of consciousness and its nature, being itself. If you experientially explore the nature of being or consciousness, you will find that consciousness itself has no objective qualities. It's not located anywhere. It doesn't start. It doesn't stop. It doesn't lack anything. And that there is no other, meaning that which looks out of your eyes and that which looks out of the person next to you's eyes is the same thing. This recognition allows you to see yourself, so to speak, in everyone and everything. It's just the recognition that there's no other. It's all one thing. What we are is life itself, the ocean itself, so to speak, and that which the ocean emerges out of. So love then, to say that our nature is love, is just a recognition that being is impersonal and that you share your being with everyone and everything. That's what's meant by our nature is love. But this doesn't presuppose a particular feeling state or any particular set of behaviors or any particular commitment. It's deeply impersonal in that sense. So a mature living then of a non-dual understanding would be quite simply the recognition that love is our nature, that we share our being with everyone and everything, and to kind of do our best to live from that recognition, right? Now, but when it comes to love in the psychological realm as an ocean in the wave, of course, all there is to the seemingly separate wave, which isn't really separate, it's distinct, all there really is to the individual wave is the ocean. Meaning, all there is to this Jurgen character in this mind body unit is being or consciousness fundamentally. But as the wave, so to speak, as this mind body organism, this character that consciousness expresses itself out of, human beings and organisms have particular personality tendencies, certain mammalian tendencies, quirks, preferences. We have a human nature, so to speak. And as a result of that, you will naturally resonate more with some personalities than others. We have our values, our beliefs, our personality tendencies, our idiosyncratic sense of humor. And it only makes sense that at the level of personality, you'll resonate with some people and you won't resonate with other people. You might like some and not like others. So for example, for me, there's a lot of judgmental thoughts. There's irritable states of mind. There are particular personality tendencies and ways of being in the world and values I don't like. A key thing to realize here, though, is that I don't really experience other people per se. I experience how they appear to me, right? And that is a perception in consciousness. And that perception is not fundamentally split off from consciousness, right? So even though you might like some people more than others, you might dislike some people more than others. There are certain people you might not want to have everything to do with, and that might be a wise decision. In the same way, there are certain thoughts and feelings that you may not like, that seem painful and perhaps excruciatingly so, and you might prefer other thoughts and feelings. That's fine. But you can still have a loving relationship to those thoughts and feelings. You can allow them, you can accept them, you can have a loving relationship to them. And here's the kicker: even feelings of hatred, of despair, of depression, of deep anger, if you really experientially explore them and you explore their nature and what they're made of, you'll find that these feelings are made of consciousness. All there really is to them is consciousness, being itself. Love itself, in that way, is the source even of feelings like hatred. Now, ironically, as a person, as I said, you will have preferences, you will have personality tendencies, there will be particular ways of making meaning, and as a result of that, you will resonate with some people and not others. You can still acknowledge that you fundamentally share the same being and act in accordance with that, and still dislike certain personality tendencies or who a particular person seems to be and how they might seem to operate in the world. Because here's the irony: as a person, loving someone else, another person, is an act of discrimination. You love this person in a romantic sense and not that other person. For mature adults, then, to love someone really requires that you, on the one hand, ironically, have that sense of sharing the same being, right, with this person. Because the opposite of love then would be to dehumanize someone and to not recognize their being or their humanity. But adult love then kind of requires seeing someone as an individual. not just seeing someone as an extension of you or your needs or a member of a group or a tribe, but truly seeing someone else as someone who has their own inner life of thoughts and feelings and hopes and dreams and aspirations, that's often when people feel loved. They feel truly seen. So romantic love, then, that particular expression of love is discriminative because you're probably just going to have that with one person, or at least one person at a time. It well, what is it? Who can describe that? No one can describe that, right? But there seems to be a deep, I hesitate to use the word attachment, but a deep kind of commitment or bond to this other person, a deep sense of being connected, of truly wanting the person to be happy and to relish in that person's happiness, right? And wanting to see the person and to be seen by that person. It also seems to be a verb, like a doing, like you prioritize the person, you support the person, you challenge the person, perhaps, you share with the person. You prioritize. And of course, if you prioritize one person, you can't prioritize someone else. Same goes with friendship. A deep friendship. You might prioritize that friend over other friends. And parental love. As a person, as this particular mind body unit, so to speak, I have deep parental love towards my daughter and my son. That flavor of love is different than what I feel around other kids. I don't feel a feeling of love necessarily around other kids. I can still acknowledge that we share the same being. Simultaneously, though, there's an illusion at play here because my kids, where is that I that claims my kids? Is there any I in that particular DNA or that particular? This is, of course, simultaneously clearly an illusion. But nature probably wants us to attach to our own kids and to prioritize them and protect them and be, carefully observant of them. And that's a particular kind of parental love, right? Now, of course, as human beings, as we evolve psychologically, we increase our capacities for metacognition, the ability to think about our thinking, to have more perspective, to see ambiguities, to see more shades of gray. We might get a richer emotional life. And so when you have people who operate from early stages of psychological development, they're very egocentric. Their sense of self is fused with their own immediate needs and enduring interests. So other people are like a supplier to the self. So love from that stage might be I love what you do for me, or you seem to serve certain needs for me. I don't really see that much of you yet, right? Or in a more conventional stage of consciousness, there might be a more interpersonal self where people talk about having a better half. You kind of become the relationship. Who you are is partially made up of the relationship. So there's a shared intimacy and closeness and the mutuality and the loyalty, which is beautiful. But in some of those cultures, people might do honor killings of their own children or behave terribly, you know, against members of the outgroup because that mindset is very ethnocentric and tribal. It's a different type of love. But when people evolve out of that mindset, it becomes more about seeing a kind of separate individual, that he or she has their own inner life, and it's two independent partners coming together and seeing each other and cherishing each other. And of course, if people psychologically grow beyond that, it's more interdependent again. You know, it's then people might more be able to feel a more unconditional form of love, where the relationship is where you express love and appreciation with someone that kind of complements you. So love and how it's expressed is going to look very different depending upon a person's, maturity or psychological uh, development. And in the non-dual sense, love is our nature, in the sense that we share our being with everyone and everything, and whatever you see, whatever you experience, that's fundamentally you. It's all an expression of the same thing. So, and ironically, the more you can embrace that, the more you can, because human nature is tribal, and it's full of confirmation bias, and there's all these weird quirks that we human beings have that contributes to us often treating each other horribly, um, but you see, having this idea that you have to love everybody and have particular feelings or thoughts and not other feelings and thoughts, that's not the most loving way to relate to your experience either. What you really want to do is to embrace all of your thoughts and feelings, and even if you like some of them more than others, you can have a loving relationship to them. And you can also deeply inquire into the nature of, as I said, hatred or despair or fear, and make the discovery that in the same way that all there is to the wave is the ocean, all there really is to these thoughts and feelings is being itself, which nature is peace and love. So, I hope that was useful. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to read them. If you would like to explore and see if you and I could be a good fit together in terms of working together, you being my client, you can reach me at provocativehypnosis.com. I also offer mentoring. If you're watching this in 2024, I'm doing a seminar in Australia in October. I'm really looking forward to that. You can find information about that on my seminar page at provocativehypnosis.com. As always, thanks for listening.